Hello and welcome to another open source workplace video. Today I'm glad to welcome back Luke Kamperman of Veldhoen company. Look, how you doing, sir? Glad to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me again, and in a different situation, different time.
Very different situation. I was actually having a look. We published September 9th was when we last spoke, and I've taken the opportunity to watch the video back. And I'm sure if we went through and I asked you all the same questions, your answers may remain somewhat the same because you tied everything back to corporate strategy, but some of the execution may change given the environment we're in. But as we sort of dig into that and we sort of look into what that future may bring. So look, if you think about, the next 12 months and what excites you about that?
Yeah, no, there's actually it feels a little bit double, right? We're in these really terrible, challenging time, and at the same time, I see a lot of possibility. I think we might be at a breakthrough of really doing a few things in a good way that we haven't really nailed, in the past years or decades. So definitely there is this opportunity to fundamentally shift on what work is really about, and that it's not a place, right? It's a thing that you do. It's something that you accomplish as part of a team, as part of an organization. You do that together. Not many of us are working solely, and fully independent. So actually, it's really exciting times, but it's a challenging time. People are dealing with the situation that we're in, and as good as we can. It's easier to turn into a crisis mode because you act on a threat, right? And we are pretty good in quite quickly organizing, how to deal with that, and people feel the urgency of it. Now, the beauty of the next 12 months, I'm actually happy that you refer to the next 12 months rather than a month or, the next few months, is that I think we need to take it a little bit slow in how we look, at the future from here. I think we were already on a path, right? Organizations were on a path. This will accelerate that path. It will just give more opportunities to really revisit and rethink, how we were leading, how we were, integrating work and life balance. Now we're all in this, huge moment in a forced way to learn, and we need to give ourselves some time to learn from it. And that's why I like, how you position it for the next 12 months. I think, right now there's a lot of learning opportunity. What are we doing that really goes well? What are things that we're doing now that we couldn't even imagine, 3, 4 months ago, but we're doing it. And why is that the case? Why can we do it all of a sudden in a different way? So I think it's again, I'm actually really excited in a challenging, difficult time, which feels a little bit double.
No, no, it does, and I appreciate that. And we talk about the excitement. I mean, you're there, you're in Brooklyn, you're with your family, and you're hunkered down, and you're living life, and all the challenges that brings. Who knew, that time we spoke in September, that would be the place that you're doing all that work today.
Not me, that's for
No,
sure.
mate, I'm sure. I'm
And,
sure.
but that's the beauty is the time, and you've heard this from other people, but that we can now spend with our families, and yes, that comes with some practicalities and challenges as well. And I've got two girls at home, in the age 8 to 10, and the homeschooling is a thing, right? You have to deal with that. But reconnecting with the family and realizing that you don't always have to do that much business travel, right? And you can connect remotely. Again, it's just something that we're learning, and we probably now start to see that from a different perspective of what that means for us. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, and I definitely want to dig in another time about that. What is that like whenever you're trying to run a business working from home where you actually can't go in and physically stand in front and see and connect and sort of read body language of your clients. I'd love to tap into that another time, but we'll come back to that. But I want to stick to what we said we were going to talk to, and I mean, I really wanted to focus on place.
Mm.
Right, when we spoke in September, place meant something very different to what it means today. But as we think about place, what should organizations be thinking about place today?
Mm. Yeah, good question. On top of mind for many, workplace planning people, workplace strategy people, but also now on top of mind of business, right? And I
Right.
think that was probably a challenge maybe in the past decade, where the opportunities already were there. Like, we have been lucky as a company to already work on new ways of working and flexible ways of working for almost 30 years now. But it was always that question of how can you engage with senior leaders and let them, think beyond today and what is really possible in the future, and think about, technology and the options that we got via the technology. I mean, office space will remain. The founder of my company, Eric Veldhoen, he wrote in the early 90s a book which was called The Demise of the Office. He just wanted to put it out there to really question, what is an office really for? Why do you need it? I think that question is now more than ever on the table again.
Right.
And I still think that there is still a need for an office, because the building a corporate culture is going to be really different if everyone works remotely. I'm not saying it can be done, but that will be definitely a new skill set that most of us have to learn. There is always that sense of getting together and to have that social connection. And so I think that the different activities that we're performing still need a physical space, but those activities will change. In the new future of work, think about team connection, think about true collaboration, like intense collaboration, like brainstorming, like learning and leadership development. Some of those activities are really more difficult remotely. But individual focused work, as we're all experiencing now, right? Why would you do that in large volumes in the office? There's less need of that. So it's more like a convening spot, kind of like a cafe or a restaurant, a gathering place. But we can work anywhere, anytime, right? So organizations will start to rethink, why do we need a central headquarter, in a central location? Do we want to consider decentralized satellite offices again? Throughout the time, this has evolved, and that I think will be back on the table as an option now. Co-working spaces, I think there's still a big future for co-working, because the whole flexibility that comes with that model is absolutely fantastic. At the moment, they probably will struggle, because we all struggle going, and getting together. But in the new future of work, in 1.5, 2 years from now, a fantastic opportunity. Now, home, of course, as well. But the most important thing is that flexibility. It will be a blended setup of where we work and what space really means. Recently, IFMA did a big global data collection. And what that data collection is telling us that on average, people before COVID prefer to work like half a day, from home. They now say that in the future, they think they will prefer to work from home on average 2.3, 2.4 days a week. That already shows we don't want to do that 4 or 5 days a week. Yes, some might, but generally the average figure don't tell us that. So that will mean hybrid, that will mean blended solution. And that's something for leaders is probably the most challenging. The easiest is like everyone is distributed, or everyone is together in the office. The mix will be a challenge, and that leads to bigger, themes and topics like inclusion and things like that. So I'm excited about the future, but I also feel like there are some really important topics that we have to deal better with than what we've done today.
Yeah, no, it's interesting feedback on the IFMA survey, and I think Gallup also demonstrated, I think a couple of years ago in their survey, where they actually measured productivity, teams that come together collectively 2 to 3 times a week are actually the most productive. Now, as organizations look at it, look, and they try to understand, okay, who are those people? How do we identify those things? What are the activities? You know, that mindset of trying to paint that picture, one for themselves as a real estate team or workplace team, but then communicating that to the executive team so the executive team can really start to see how work is changing. How would you sort of give guidance on how to navigate that conversation?
For us, what we've done for, like I said, 30 years, in very successful ways, and sometimes slightly less successful ways, and we've learned from that. Is always going back to the core of think about it activity based. At the end of the day, it is those activities that we're performing, and that can be anywhere, anytime. And we just mentioned all the different places where that could be. But if you have that activity based lens on it, and you focus on the outcomes that we need to achieve, and you keep those two things in mind, the outcomes, the activities that you have to do to get to that outcome, then you can start really thinking about, okay, what are then those different places that we want to do that in the future. What of them do we as a team or department or as a whole organization feel like primarily done like in an office, or what can be done elsewhere, and what can be done from home. There are already, again, we are in this learning period, right? So let's learn
Mhm.
more. I'm absolutely, um, I would like to do a plea on everyone, if they're all not already doing it, to really, see how you can learn from the existing moment. Do surveys. I know your people are going through difficult times, but it's also a great opportunity to reach out to them, right? To be connected, to understand more what they go, also emotionally, but the future space, if you really think about activity based that leads to outcomes, how can we organize that in the office? How can we organize that with the right technology, etc.? Then yeah, we will go through a transition time. Like, I know that a lot of facility managers primarily are looking at how can we have a healthy environment, right? Literally, how can we do the cleaning, etc. That transition phase, I think we need to do some serious scenario planning for the transition. May it be 10 months, 20 months, 24 months, who knows? Let's keep fingers crossed it's a shorter time. But then also for the new future of work, right? That new setup. There won't be one new normal. I can give you that, as a guarantee. So in the scenario planning, I think we need to realize that we need to become more adaptable as organizations. And so almost in your planning for that never to be new normal, how can you plan for that adaptability and flexibility? And what does that look like for you as an organization? And that can always almost be on a monthly or a weekly basis. Like, how much do you have in co-working space? How much do you have people working from home? And sometimes we have to dial that up or dial that down given on what's happening. COVID is a massive thing that impacts us all, but there will be other things in the future, bigger or smaller. I think this just shows us how important that adaptability is. So it's for workplace strategists and like yourselves. I'm actually excited for you, Steve. It's a good
No,
time.
it seems wrong to say so, but I agree with you, and I think it really is an opportunity for organizations to really evaluate what does place mean, what is the workplace look like, and what is the future of work. Because not so much even just the real estate itself, but actually how we work, the processes, the way we evaluate things, how we employ people. I think everything will shift, and this is a real opportunity for organizations really to evaluate a lot of those various things. So look, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm excited that you're going to get on, and we're going to see more of you on the channel. So I look forward to digging into some of these things, the topics you raised today, the inclusion, the culture, the importance of those things, and how to really integrate it into any of your scenario planning that you articulated. So look, thank you. Appreciate it.
More than welcome. The story will continue.
It sure will. All right, sir. Take care.